meeting, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So special welcome to you, Clive, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks very much.
So I think that makes 3 councillors here this evening, which is great. So we've got our Group A, Group B, we've got the Church of England sitting as a block.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And we've got teacher reps who are.
I'm the head teacher rep. I don't think I'm the, I think I should be in the
Well,
head teacher group, with the teachers group.
Yes.
From
Yes.
the training
From
that I
the-
accessed
okay.
the other night.
So although you're our LA advisor, you also count as a teacher rep.
Rose, am I the LA advisor? I'm put you on the spot. I don't think I am. I think I'm the head teacher rep.
I think you're the head teacher consultant and I'm on as the LA advisor.
See, that's where the confusion is. But
I see. Okay. Well, representing Group C, then I think we do have Amanda and yourself. So we're all here. Oh, hello, Tony. And that's great. So just a little reflection to start with. I was invited to go into one of our secondary schools a fortnight ago and help to review their RS department, which was really good. I thought it was, it was very open of that school to invite me on behalf of you, really, to review the department. And I attended 2 lessons on Hinduism, and 2 lessons on the Christian doctrine of the Trinity. One boy went to sleep in one of those lessons, but it wasn't the quality of the teaching, it was just that he hadn't been taking his medication properly.
yeah.
I think the boy was 66.
Couldn't comment on that. But it was a fascinating experience, and the best lesson of all, I think Dilip should really know about, because it was this Year 7 lesson on Hinduism. Imagine the scene if you can't do it, well, and everyone, but a photo of a statue of Brahma on the screen, full colour, lots to talk about, a whole class of Year 7 pupils fully engaged, learning lots, enjoying it, being very reflective as well. Almost there was a holy moment in that lesson, I would argue, because there was a moment when one boy asked a question, the teacher asked the question back, and there was silence for probably about 30 seconds in this room where you could just hear children thinking. And it was amazing and wonderful. So I thanked her at the end. And I thought to myself, here we are adopting our new syllabus, and we don't all agree with all of it. And we may have our issues, some of us with it, but out there in the classroom, good stuff is going on, if I can put it that way. So be encouraged, because that was a really good experience.
I am envious that you saw that. I really wish I was there as well to experience that.
Yeah, I wished you were there as well.
And it'd been really good, because I think this is what we're trying to aim with all the work that we're doing now, to be honest.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad you experienced that.
I mean, as a Christian, I wish I could say the same about the lessons on the Trinity, but never mind, we won't go there. That's harder, maybe, arguably. So anyway, I would share that with you. So welcome to Sacre. We do have, as I've said, all our groups represented, and we've got our officers. We especially grateful for David's presence. Oh, he was there. Has he gone?
No, I'm here.
Well, you're there. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
There are more of you than can fit on the screen. That's going to confuse me. Okay. Right. Then I've been asked to read this out. If we hear the evacuation alarm this evening, we must leave the building immediately. Please proceed via the safe emergency exit route. I feel like I'm on a plane. And please follow any instructions given by the officers. The assembly point is the car park of the Dolphin Pub. Little hint there. If the lockdown alarm sounds, we will remain seated and await instructions from officers. We will adjourn the meeting until such time as it is safe to proceed, and all of you online can laugh at us. So, does anyone have any questions about the way in which this meeting will be conducted before we proceed?
Not a question, but just want to make sure you can see me as well.
Very much. Beautiful, Berkshire. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
You can see you. Okay. Right. So we move to apologies. Do we have any apologies, Thomas?
Thank you, Chair. We have apologies received from Chris Ward. We did have apologies from Delete Bladwell that is attending via Zoom, and we have numerous others attending via Zoom. Robin Launder, David Rees, Rose Carberry, Berkshire Mustak, Delete Bladwell, Amanda Bedding, and most. So I do apologise, Chair. Yes, I believe that's all that's attending.
All right. Thank you very much. Moving to membership. Anything else to say about that?
Thank you, Chair. There have been no changes in membership, but this is Councillor Clark Taylor's first.
Indeed. Indeed. Okay. So then number 3, the election of chair and vice chair for the academic year to come. That's you again, Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, as it is a new academic year, we need to proceed with an election of a chair and a vice chair. Can I have a proposer for chair for the academic year of 2024 to 25? Thank you.
I seem to remember I proposed David in the previous year, but yeah, I think you said thinking of
Well, I am. So if I'm acceptable to the committee, I'm really happy to stay until we've adopted this syllabus. In my job, I have a sabbatical every 7 years. 3 months I'm allowed to go off and study and what have you. So that's next summer. So I can chair this meeting, I can chair the next meeting, but after that I'm dead.
I'm quite happy to propose David's chair.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Reluctant though I am, fellow councillor, I will second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And can I have hands raised for anybody? Perfect. I'll announce that you are chair for the academic year of 2024 to 25. Can I do the same for vice chair, please? Can I have a proposal?
I can't remember who the.
It's Amanda, and I would certainly propose Amanda.
Okay, then. Can I have a seconder for that? Thank you. And a vote. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you all very much indeed. Let's go to the minutes.
Thank you, Chair. This is to, we're after proposing a seconder of the minutes. However, there was an email very shortly before this meeting from Rose Carberry. Rose, would you like to mention your comments?
Thank you. It was just, I was talking more about the terminology and the need for teachers to be happy and secure with using the terminology, and perhaps a lack of confidence might stop them addressing it, rather than my approval of the previous comments.
In that case, including both.
Could I please ask that it be minuted that I stated that I felt that the syllabus as it stood was a recolonisation of the syllabus. That's a very important point which was missed out. That needs to be noted.
Taking into consideration those amendments, I can have a proposal for the minutes. Thank you. And second. Thank you. And can I have hands raised to approve the minutes? Thank you ever so much.
Okay, item 5 is the annual report. Amanda has very kindly written this for us, and I think it came through on a separate message. So just give you a moment to review that if you would like it. Amanda, do you have any comments as you're the one that wrote it?
Hello.
Hello.
My-
Just wondering,
my- just
you,
my,
you're the one
my-
that wrote it. Did anything
Yeah.
occur to you as you were writing it, or?
I do feel that we've had quite a few new members join us in Sacre, so welcome. I think that it's really great that we've now got so many new members across the different groups, and also just highlighting that Val has left our Sacre, and obviously she was with us for quite a while. So obviously thank you for everything that she did during her time. Obviously, the main thing has been the new locally agreed syllabus. A lot of work has gone into it that everybody has really appreciated, and fingers crossed everything kind of goes through. And I mean, I have been using the locally agreed syllabus this year, and I've been getting good feedback from my teachers saying how they like the questions and the flow of it, and the children seem to be getting a lot from the questions that we've been covering so far this term, these last few weeks. And obviously we will be launching it in March. I know that there is an event already organised for it to be adopted from next September. We have continued to work with schools about collective worship to varying degrees, and that will continue as well. We've been working with schools, and obviously David mentioned his successful trip into secondary school a couple of weeks ago. So we're continuing to have connections with different schools to support them in the ways that they need. And David Rees and I have continued with our networks as well, and David is continuing with the newsletter as well, which is fantastic, so that we've got those points of contact within the local authorities. And we are continuing with our 3 Sacre meetings a year, 2 of them hybrid, 1 of them in person, and I think that's worked quite well the last couple of years, so hopefully we'll continue that into the future. And our one next summer will be an in-person meeting, while obviously this one and our next one in February will be a hybrid one. But I feel that this year has been quite a successful year, and long may it continue.
Well, we are really grateful to you for writing the report, Amanda, in your busy life. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, thank you so much. We'll adopt that then. Do we need to vote on that? I don't think we do. Just gratefully received, I think. Thank you. So that brings us to our main item tonight, which is item 6, and the agreed syllabus 25 to 30. And this is, as you would have seen on your agendas, the vast bulk of the paper here. I mean, most of you haven't got a paper copy. I have in glorious Technicolor, but it's really nice actually to have a paper copy. Thank you for doing that, because there are 1 or 2 bits highlighted.
Could I just ask, Chair, were we actually distributed the syllabus?
Yes, it came with the agenda.
Oh, it was on the agenda?
Yeah. Yes. So if you look on the agenda, you'll see it's down below the main agenda and the minutes, and then you'll get item 6. So we will look at 1 or 2 bits together. What I thought we would do is, if I just introduce it to you, and then David, who's done quite a lot of the work along with the other advisors, I know will have things to say as well, and then just open it up for the floor at that point. But you just need to know at this point that because of our slight identity crisis as a committee, we are now not a Sacre, we are now the Agreed Syllabus Conference. All right, that's who you now are.
Chair.
Yeah.
We got the syllabus last Thursday. Is that correct?
No.
Whenever it was sent out. Yeah.
Is that correct?
No, you've had it before then, I think.
When did we have this syllabus in this form?
We'd have to go back through the emails. There's been, as you know, there's been many revisions and many extra meetings. But I don't know the date off the top of my head, but carry on anyway, because I'm sure you have a point to make.
It arrived in my inbox on the 23rd, which is just over a week ago. Okay.
So we've had a week to have a look at it. And it arrived, because it was last week, so it was a week and it was a week, just over a week ago. We've had very little time to actually analyse, particularly in view of the fact that we raised objections, certainly the Jewish reps, across the various sacraries. And I suspect also the Hindu reps raised objections to the syllabus as it was. And we did not have any highlight, well, we had some highlights, but we needed to analyse all the various modifications that have been made to it. I don't think we've had enough time to actually consider it properly. A week is a very short time, particularly in view of the fact that it's right before both Jewish and Hindu festivals. And I'm preparing for the Jewish New Year tomorrow evening.
So if I can interrupt you,
yes.
I think the final version came out 8 days ago, but the number of changes that represents from the versions that have been before, that we've been looking at for many months now, is not that great, that I don't think we could have looked at them in a week. So, you know, take on board your reservation there.
I'm very unwilling to adopt a syllabus which has not been adequately scrutinised. It would be wrong to adopt a syllabus that does not reflect, at the very least, a considered view of what the syllabus should be. What I'm very concerned about is, A, I haven't checked to see that I haven't been able to check because of the timing of this, right before effectively something like Christmas and New Year's altogether for me. I haven't been able to review it adequately because of its timing, because we did say that it is Rosh Hashanah tomorrow evening. We did let people know that it needed to be given to us in good time. A week is not sufficient time for us to review it. The model of worldviews is confused.
No.
Well,
Chair. But I'm talking about what worldviews means.
Yeah,
because
that's to do with the context. So, please. I'm going to go with my structure.
To bulldoze.
Can I ask a question? And you're quite right. Our colleague here is raising an objection, but then going on to tell us what it is. And there's two stages there. I couldn't come. The last meeting was in Calicut, wasn't it? And on short notice, I couldn't come. But I did write to you because I think it was you who wrote in similar terms, just I think the day before that meeting, and I did write to you and say, while it was unhelpful to raise significant points, 24 hours before a meeting, I did hope that the group would give due consideration. You don't have to agree, but give due consideration to the concerns that were expressed then. So I guess my question would be, what's happened? Was it June? I can't remember. It was June. Well, I don't know what's happened between then and now, because that would throw a different light.
I can tell you exactly what's happened, Councillor, which is that we had a very full discussion at the last Sacre. Zvi, you spoke at great length then. And since then, the advisors who have been doing most of the work on this have done further work. They've made further revisions. They have contacted the Board of Deputies of British Jews. They have gone, as I'm about to say in my introduction, they have gone above and beyond what could reasonably have been expected of any advisors preparing this syllabus. I'm sorry, Zvi, that you don't feel you've had enough time to look at it, but I don't feel, honestly, that we can scupper the syllabus at this point on that basis.
It's not a matter of scuppering the syllabus. To be quite honest, to go above the head of someone who sits on this committee to ask advice from people who do not sit on it is inappropriate. And to be quite honest, if you have received advice from the Board of Deputies, you should show it to the advisors who sit on this committee and vote in this committee, and that is unconstitutional, Chair.
Well,
And I'm pleased minute that I am absolutely outraged that there should be an unconstitutional behaviour and that I should not be informed of that until this committee sat.
so you're perfectly entitled to express your view. Please understand that a number of us, especially the advisors, have been working extremely hard for a long time on this, and we are now at a point of coming to either adopt or reject this syllabus.
May I say, Mr. Chair?
Well,
no,
I'm sorry, Zvi, I am going to.
Has no bearing.
I am
on
going
what
to
has
insist
been
we now
done.
move on.
Bulldozing
I am-
through
no.
is inappropriate.
I am going to
And it
insist,
should not
I'm
be
going to
adopting
insist
something
that
that
we
we
now
object to.
move on, because this is now 10 to 5 and we haven't started. So my introduction goes like this. We are convened as an agreed syllabus conference. What that means is that we are in our 4 separate groups: Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D. Each group is required to vote in favour of the syllabus in order for it to pass. Okay? So we will vote on this tonight in our groups, and all groups must vote in favour if it is to be adopted. Clear? Okay. So would you have a look, please, at page 12? So on page 12, you will find the table of contents, and as you can see, the last syllabus was about 10 pages. This syllabus is about 70 pages. And the reason for that is teachers. Teachers, as Amanda, I think, has already said, teachers asked for more, much more. And that's what they have got. And all the way through, teachers have said to us, please give us more guidance. And from what we've heard from Amanda already, that has already been well received. So that's why we've gone for a much bigger format, and it is because of what teachers said. So just to outline, number 4 there is the overview. Section 4 is the core of the syllabus, and then section 5 is the non-statutory content. That's where, if you're a faith representative like me, you get lots more content. So the overview doesn't have, it's not bare bones, but it's not the full thing. You get lots more content in section 5. And then there's in section 6, if you go to section 6 on the next page, there's more suggested content for core units. So again, I'm always thinking of Mrs. Smith, who teaches RS in a primary school without any training. She hasn't had any experience at all, and she's just given this remit, Mrs. Smith. I think Mrs. Smith is going to love it, because there is lots and lots there for her to deal with. So that's the first thing. So that's you might want to just look down the rest of it. But if you can now jump, please, to page 83, which is near the end. You'll see there that this is a note from the advisors. Write it down if I can guess it. So the advisors have given a little advisory note on page 83 saying, the proposed Berkshire syllabus has been produced after extensive collaboration with teachers, ASC members and the advisors, who have in turn sought advice and expertise from a wide range of experts within the RE community. Feedback has been gathered since October 2023, it says there. David, I think that might actually be a misprint because according to my Sacre minutes, we have been talking about this since October 2022.
Yes, because we delayed a year, so you are right. That probably is the wrong number.
2022. So if you remember, our previous syllabus was dated 18 to 23, and because of COVID, we had to delay our production of our next one. But it is true to say, because I've looked through all our minutes today, we have discussed the agreed syllabus at every meeting since October 2022. So we've had 6 meetings where we have talked about this. So that's the first thing. We've had many opportunities during that time to comment and to bring our guidance. Each faith group has had the opportunity to consult internally, and we have made recommendations to Sacre. So, for example, I chaired the Christianity Focus Group about a year ago or a year and a half ago, and we made recommendations to the advisors, not all of which were taken up. So I don't think that anyone can say we've rushed this. 2 years. Now, who has written it? The people who have written it are our 3 advisors, Anne Andrews, David Rees, and Angela Hill. They are the 3 advisors for the Sacres in Berkshire. Together now with a new advisor for Slough, Bill Moore. All of them are very experienced professionals, and we have paid them to do that work. And as I've said, they have all gone far beyond what anyone could have expected. I think the latest draft that I looked at of the syllabus was draft number 33. That's how much work they've done. And that gives you some idea. So that if you can imagine the challenge of producing one syllabus across 6 separate local authorities, and the challenge of working with all of us lot times 6, and then sitting in a group of advisors and pulling all of that together, that is a huge task. And I do need to say to you that the advisors are clear now that their job is over. They have finished their work on this syllabus. That means that if we do not adopt this syllabus tonight, we are on our own. So I'll just let that sink in for a moment. We are on our own if we do not adopt this.
Or alternatively, Chair, we stand with the previous syllabus,
yes,
which was a very good syllabus.
Yes, that is exactly the alternative, is that we stand with the previous syllabus. That's up to members to decide. But I would like to propose a vote of thanks to our advisors who have worked so very hard for us over these last 2 years and more probably. They have done an incredible job. So that's my brief introduction to it. I would just say then that at this meeting, we are voting to either accept or reject this syllabus. The time for discussion of the detail is past, friends. We are voting to either accept or reject it as it stands. Now, I know that at this stage, clearly not everyone is happy. But if we don't adopt it, we are left with the old syllabus, with which teachers, let's remember teachers are the important people here, teachers are not happy with that. Now, I did say to someone earlier on today that if there are still concerns, maybe there is the possibility of producing an addendum of some kind, which would only apply to West Berkshire. It would not apply to the other Sacres. It would just be our addendum, because we felt that for West Berkshire schools, we needed to produce a little bit more of something. But just to finish my bit by saying that, to quote Anne Andrews, who I thought said something very wise the other day, she said, "We have to remember this is an educational, not a faith-building exercise. This is about education, not faith-building." So, and I say that as a committed Christian. Okay, so that's my introduction. David, what more would you like to say to us about syllabus?
I think you've covered it really well. I think we have made so many changes because there's been so much consultation. It's taken such a long time because we set many boundaries, which then people gave us information after that. and we still went back and we still added and we've consulted. I think the bit you just mentioned is we know that not everyone's going to be happy. We know that some are happier than others. There is the possibility of adding things as addendums and so on, and that the syllabus itself has a mixture of statutory and advisory stuff. And that advisory stuff is merely that. It doesn't mean everything has to be covered. I have never known a syllabus consultation like this, and I've been involved in these for about 30 years. It's been an extraordinary process. It's been very challenging, and I think the advisors would not be looking to do this again. But we think in schools, there's some very good questions and there's the scope for some excellent RE. As always, we welcome guidance about ways in which things can be taught, and certain concepts and things, nuances that might not come through in the text. And that, rolling on, is what we would hope to do through networks, through supplementary documents and so on, which is what we intended with the last syllabus, but COVID got in the way. So it's not like a completely closed door. It's not like this is it forever. It's the start of this working in schools. So obviously I commend it to you. I know how much work has gone on and how much we have really tried to take on board the views and opinions of others, many of whom disagreed quite considerably with each other.
David, I think Robin was next.
Thank you. I'd like to go back to what the chair said, actually, and your proposal for a vote of thanks, which I thought was a really good idea. I know in a moment we're going to get an opportunity to have a vote about whether we accept or don't accept this syllabus, but I would like us to have a vote of thanks prior to that vote, actually, to reflect the amount of work that has gone into this most monumental of tasks, regardless of how we vote subsequently. I think a vote about a proposal of thanks is appropriate. So is that something we can do?
I'd like to second that, Chairman, because you know, it's a separate subject. I did have my hand up. I don't know.
I'm sorry, Tony. Yeah.
But listening to the conversation so far, two things have struck me, and particularly drawn from what David wrote. The teachers are the experts, and that we're here to talk about responses that were educationally sound that have been taken into account. And I can understand that it's a very sensitive subject for the members of the faith groups, and even within each faith group, within the other than Christian, even within the Church of England group, there are differences, let alone the rest of Christianity. And I'm sure within Judah, Judah, do I call it Judah or the Judaism? So it's enormously difficult subject content, but my background is planning, and in a sense, there's a similarity there. How many of those of us that are sitting here now were here at the start? How many actually were not probably able to comment on sort of umpteen out of the 22 rounds of versions? Yeah. But yet, as with planning, you get elected and you have to adopt the plan that your predecessors adopted. Otherwise, legally, you drop back to the last and you have to choose between the devil and the deep blue sea. Looking across at my member of the other faith who's in that position.
So we've had a vote of thanks proposed by me. Is that a seconder, Robin? Thank you. So all those in favour of voting thanks to what these people have done.
You and the advisors that have worked through.
Thank you so much.
Yes, of course.
100%.
Please hear that, David. No, David.
Yeah, hi.
Sorry, I think Dilip was next. I'm sorry. Unless, is it on that? Paul? Sorry.
Okay. Is it me?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay, all right. So I just wanted to add a couple of comments, so please bear with me. I just want to start off by saying that I'm grateful that in a Christian country, we're able to practice our faith and to teach this faith. And I think for somebody who comes from the outside, as it were, this is an enormous, enormous privilege. So I am really grateful to be part of this whole process as well. I work here as so again, David, bear with me, but I just made some notes that I do want to kind of put out here. I work here as a volunteer. I am not an academic in religious studies. I'm not an academic in education either, except having had to go through the process myself. My approach has always been about here to help, to collaborate. I certainly don't want confrontation, and sadly we seem to have descended into that. Not today, but just before as well. To the advisors, I would say here, please treat this as constructive criticism, if you like. I think the development process has been really hard to follow, especially with the number of variants that have come out. It's always been very difficult, I found, even though I was at the start of this thing yet, to follow everything that was coming through. And I've made some suggestions along the way. I have to do this in my professional life, and I thought there are some lessons that we can learn from there as well. So, yeah, that's the point. I have an issue with worldviews. I know we're not talking about content, but I just want to state this here because ultimately I'm going to have to help make a vote as well. Worldviews. Hinduism is considerably vast, and if we only ever see through the lens of one worldview, I've seen this issue here in Bracknell. For everybody else, I also sit in the Sacra in Bracknell, by the way, where we looked at the artifacts, the Hinduism artifacts. And again, there was one view that was really overwhelmingly represented there, which if teachers unknowingly just look at that, would only be looking at one part of this thing here. So that's a big issue for me. And I always wonder who defines the agenda for what goes in here and how it's done. So as far as the consultation has been concerned, I think there's been a little bit of follow us because we know best. I mean, yes, the advisors are expert, and I think it's important that we listen to them as well. But I think Zvi made a good point here. If we're here and we make a contribution, then there's going to be at least something that says we acknowledge a contribution, and yes, we will use it, or no, we won't. I've had a note from David about how all the comments that I've raised have been incorporated, so thanks for that as well. Lastly, I had a message from the Bracknell Sacra saying that there is a letter that's gone out which says this is our recommendation to adopt this thing here. And there's one line in there which concerns me. I will share the same feedback with Bracknell as well, just to say that, because this is a Berkshire process, is that this is down to the teachers. And this I think is where the difficulty lies. David, I'm really impressed that you were so pleased with what you saw in the school. Because my fear is, my limited experience with when teachers try and teach Hinduism is that it's extremely poor, not because they don't try, it's because they don't know where to look. They don't have the guidance. And that always concerns me. So to my mind, this was a great opportunity to try and make that. Now, it's a syllabus, it's an outline, it's a framework. It nowhere has a lot of content that can refer to. But perhaps this suggestion of an addendum would be something where we start looking at a few things like that as well. And the last point, I'm sorry to go on again, but just the last point. I mean, the time and resources that schools are allowed to put for religious education is limited. It's very, very limited. So everybody's trying to shoehorn a piece of their faith in there. My heart sinks at that point that we won't be doing any of this justice. Either it's a watered down effort at best. So those are the points I just wanted to make. I think it's kind of summary of where we are so far. So I thank you for listening. Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry, you froze just at the end there, but we got 99% of that. Thank you so much.
Sorry. Okay. Okay.
Very helpful comments, and thank you for your thoughtfulness in that. Can I just reassure you on the last bit? The school that I went into, Hinduism was a half-term unit in both year 7 and year 8.
Yeah.
So it was a significant chunk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think you'd have been encouraged, but anyway, that's just
Yes.
would anyone like to respond to what Dilip has said?
Well, I do actually. So I think you used an expression about the advisors, slightly unfortunate. They're not going to touch it anymore. Their dining tools was the impression. I think what we're hearing is that they've worked really hard on it. That it's been an iterative process, and everybody, all of us, and 1,000 others have had every opportunity to bring to the table. And therefore, either we vote for this or we stay where we are. I think maybe I would imagine procedurally, this is not my first year in this group, but procedurally, to say, well, there could be supplementary stuff, probably isn't quite right. We'll accept it or we don't. Presumably, a faith group or indeed any individual could bring forward other material, supplementary material at another meeting at some time in the future, which, if approved, could then be added in. So that's the process. So let's not get tied into that. We should be looking at what's in front of us, and it's yay or nay. And as you know, I had the privilege of running a number of secondary schools and primary schools. I spent a lot of time in the classroom. And my big beef, the thing I sent to you every meeting was support material for teachers. We can pretend all we like, but many teachers who will deliver this syllabus haven't got the background or the training we would like. So the syllabus needs to guarantee a basic minimum of accuracy and good material. And in my experience, and I've taken a few soundings, what you said or someone else said about teachers looking at this and being very pleased with it, it's because it's much clearer, it's better developed, and there's lots of different resources. So I, for one, am very confident that this is a significant improvement in what we've had. If there's other materials that we in due course can consider and add to it, that would do that on an individual basis. But our duty today is to say yay and nay, and I'm a very big yay for the reasons I'll say. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Berkshire.
Thanks, David. So yeah, I would just like to give a big thanks to all the advisors, for all the hard work that has gone in. Obviously, we will never have a situation where everybody's happy with everything, but I think I would like to commend the guys, the people who have contributed towards the building up of this huge amount of work that has been done. And thank you for the hard work. Thank you.
Does anyone want to pick up on there? So Dilip's point about worldview, because I know that was V's concern as well at the last meeting, that there's a kind of, those of us who have a story to tell, some of our faiths are based on a story. Yours is, mine is. And we get nervous when we feel like we're being treated like a philosophy. And so in the group that I chaired, the Christianity Focus Group, our concern was to try to bring the Christian story more into this syllabus. And so I think that's completely valid. And, if we don't think that has been adequately in terms of any other faith, then I would suggest that we keep working on something like an addendum. Tony?
Yeah, I'd like to come here, not being a teacher and not being, a religious to trained person, but I am like a practicing Roman Catholic, putting my cards on the table. But I think as the counsellor group, our role is to try and develop some sort of cohesion and to represent all the people out there, all the children that are going through our state education system, of whom, frankly, whether we like it or not, probably the majority have no specific faith background whatsoever. And it's really important that we teach across all faiths and none.
Yes.
You could say, I would argue, faith representatives here might disagree, that each religion is actually a worldview, but it's a worldview taken into a deeper level of being a fundamental belief that guides your entire way of life. But I think as a society, we've got to accommodate those who have no worldview, and this is the only place you can do it in the formative years, through teaching everybody goes through that system about all faiths and none. Now, I'm not a humanist, but I believe we need to have humanism around the table. That's
Thank you, Dave. That's clear. Too.
My objection to worldviews is not an objection to the term or the idea that we have worldviews, but it's a rigorous objection, an intellectual objection to a term that is defined in two different ways, and that is how the syllabus presents it. And the current state of the syllabus, as far as I understand it, is presenting two different ideas using the same words. This is hard enough for teachers to understand. And for students, for whom we are supposed to be providing religious education, this is way above their ability, particularly in key stages 1 and 2. I think that we have failed in this syllabus to be precise in our definitions. And when we discuss worldviews, we are going to confuse people, and we are not achieving the aims we set out to provide. My wife has gone into this with the originators of the term, and they have accepted that they are using the same term for two different ideas. I therefore cannot possibly, on these terms, accept the syllabus until we have looked through and removed that confusion. That is my objection to passing this syllabus at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just ask if Robin's happy that humanists are happy as being described as a non-religious worldview? Because it'd be interesting to hear your perspective on it.
Yes. So sorry. Yeah. And I was listening. It was a really interesting conversation. Yeah, I'm completely happy with the phrase non-religious worldview. And I'm also happy, by the way, when people talk about, when people use the word faith and include me within that. And that's kind of interesting because, as a humanist, perhaps I should be very unhappy about that, but I understand that, human beings are pragmatic and I don't take offense at that word, by the way, or have any problems with it because I kind of know exactly what it is that you mean by it. So I have no problems with the phrase non-religious worldview. A worldview for me is kind of two things. And I suspect, by the way, even by raising this kind of having this conversation, it's probably a bit of a blind alley because, the reality is that is a phrase that we are stuck with because it is a national phrase and it will be in the GCSE syllabus. So it's absolutely a phrase that we need to be using in our locally agreed syllabus, right? We can't get away with that because it's going to be in the GCSEs. But for me, it's kind of two things. There is a sort of macro worldview, which might be, say, broadly Christian or broadly humanist or broadly Jewish or whatever it might be. But then there's the individual's worldview. That is how they see the world. Their kind of glasses that they look through when they see the world. And both of those two kind of ideas kind of exist alongside. So for instance, if you get a group of humanists, most humanists kind of agree on the broadly, the same sort of things, roughly. You get individual humanists in a room and they will be discussing and disagreeing and they'll be doing all of that stuff because they've got their individual pair of glasses on. So I think both of those those hold. I didn't quite understand the other point about what the confusion was with the idea of worldviews. For me, it's fairly simple. I think I think the very young kids can even get this kind of concept. It's how you kind of see the world. It's the glasses that you wear when you see the world. I think that's quite understandable, actually.
Thank you, Robin. Amanda, Angela, sorry.
Worldviews again. I don't think that term is perfect by any stretch. I think we all seem to acknowledge that we have some issues with it. You don't use it, I wouldn't use it instead of the word religion, for instance, and I don't think it is here actually. But I rationalise it in the context of the syllabus because religion to me is about something with embedded practice. It's not just about what you see and what you think and what you believe, it's about what you do. And the emphasis, I think, has been articulated quite well in the syllabus. It's about what does a Christian do, and what do Muslims do, what do Jews do. That's in there, and there's quite a lot of emphasis on that, which I think, from my purposes, makes me feel easier about it, even if I'm not desperately chuffed with the way our society uses that.
Yeah. Because as I'm always saying to I said this to this teacher in this school last week. Work from the concrete to the abstract and not the other way around. It's that, that's the way, isn't it?
Yes.
You work from what you can see in front of you. Here is a menorah. Why?
What do you do and why do you do it and what does that mean for you, rather than starting with what you
May I clarify the confusion? We use the word worldview with regard to a religion and an individual. Individual worldviews are personal. Religious worldviews are corporate. We're using the same term for two different things. And this is going to cause confusion and slippage. It is terminologically inexact. And I think that we need to seriously look at that because we're being pushed to adopt a syllabus which is adopting the same term for two different concepts. This will cause confusion to those whom we are responsible for, the teachers and the students.
So it's the difference between the corporate and the individual.
Yes, and we're using the same term and we're being inexact. And that causes confusion because every time we use worldview, are we talking about a personal viewpoint or the ideas that underpin a religious approach within a particular faith or approach to the world?
David, do you want to come back in at this point? Because you're the RE expert.
May I just say?
Can I just ask David to come back on that first of all?
Well, personally, although I can understand where he's coming from, I don't see it as being an issue in the classroom. I think quite a lot of the time, through the advice we're giving to teachers, they will be able to combine the idea of a personal worldview with a religious worldview. What's behind it nationally is a recognition not to say that all Muslims believe X, all Jews believe Y. This recognition of diversity within tradition as well as diversity, between traditions. I think that's where it's come from. It came out of the Theos think tank Nobody Stands Nowhere clip about 3 or 4 years ago. And a lot of syllabuses and national things have taken this on. I think it's a really interesting academic debate that Zvi's putting through. But I think in the classroom, I think the structure and the questions that we've got will allow them to go deep and to recognize both aspects of the definition of the word of worldview. And I think it will help them because it will help them see that their own opinions are based on their experiences, their family, all that sort of stuff, and that these will change and go with them as they go through life based on a variety of different things. And I think that's quite a healthy thing. So I don't see a problem. I see an interesting debate, but as far as the syllabus is concerned, I think what we have, if it was passed, is something that will help considerably better RE. There will still be nuances and still be challenges and still be things to add. As I said earlier, this is not a shut door, but this is a starting point that I think will be really helpful.
Okay, thank you. We do need to come to vote on this, but does anyone else want to say anything, Clive?
Could
Before?
I just want to make one or two just general remarks, as a newcomer to this. I did read through the syllabus. I read it initially about a week ago when it was first issued. I read it again earlier today, and I had no idea what's going to be. I've never looked at a religious education syllabus at all, and I have to say that I was impressed with the content of it. And I really haven't got any comments. I wouldn't be coming today to suggest any changes to it. However, I do feel my inclination is that I will abstain on this because obviously I've not been party to any of the early discussions. And one thing that particularly strikes me, there was reference earlier, that if this isn't passed, you would revert to the earlier syllabus. I've not looked at the earlier syllabus at all, and perhaps had I realised that was the situation, I would have gone back and looked at the syllabus that we're intending to replace. So for that reason, I will abstain. I'd just like to add for Tony, I think, mentioned his religious background. It's perhaps fair to me to say I'm a member of the Labour Party. Really rather different, which isn't a really, but it does make me rather different from a lot of other councillors at West Park.
We all worship in our own way.
I was brought up in a Christian family. My parents were very strong Church of England, but I would class myself as a non-practicing Christian. But I just felt I ought to put that.
Thank you for the full disclosure. Yeah, Robin.
Sorry.
You just muted
Yeah,
yourself.
sorry. So yeah, there I am. So yeah, just to quickly say again, remember when we vote on this whole idea of this term, I don't think this term should be a sticking point at all. It's the term that will be in the GCSE questions. So just remember that. It's going to say, what does the worldview of X, Y, Z, and that will be on the GCSE exam papers, right? I know this is for primary all the way up to secondary, but that's the language that's going to be used. So we're voting against this based on that. I think that's just, that just doesn't make sense to me. And in terms of this idea, the fact that something's got multiple meanings, well, as an English teacher, I can tell you, welcome to the English language, because that is exactly what the English language has. It would be great sometimes if some words could just be limited to 2 meanings, but lots of words have many multiple meanings, and it's context that gives the explanation of the meaning, and children can definitely follow this stuff. And third, I'm not sure if I've made this point in the past. So I am a teacher. So I'm sitting as a humanist, but I am a teacher. And my job is to go around to schools to teach teachers about lots of things, including learning and how learning happens. And from my point of view, as an expert in that area, this is an excellent document.
Thank you. And Amanda?
I just wanted to add that from the teachers that I've spoken to, they actually have quite welcomed the inclusion of worldviews into this, because it's in some ways helped with the explanation to children, because a lot of the time children will say, this doesn't apply to me, I'm not religious. But actually saying that whether you're religious or not, you do have a point of view that impacts on the decisions that you make, the choices you make, your behaviors, where you decide to go, and things like that. And I've having spoken to other teachers about it, they will often say, like, you can be religious and your religion will inform and impact on your worldview, but you can be non-religious and you can still have a worldview. So it's more about them understanding that about whether you're religious or not, you're going to have things that influence you that will impact on your life. And it's also getting them to think about the fact that, yes, not all Muslims believe this, not all Christians believe this, because we are all individuals and we all have our own individual worldview, but these things will inform us and impact on the choices that we make. And so I think that it's actually really helped within with teachers being able to explain that to the children, and it's actually having a much bigger impact on the children, the RE learning that they're having. because they are actually seeing the impact that it has on themselves, even if they're not religious.
Thank you, Amanda. Yeah.
Just quickly, the bottom line is that something that supports teachers to deliver in the classroom is going to have a benefit for the children. The children will get a better deal. This, I can see the work that's gone into it. I agree about the structure. I agree about the opportunities it gives for delivering good teaching and learning. It's an improvement on the original document. It may not be perfect, I understand that, but it's an improvement. It will support the children getting a better deal in the classroom. So I think that's a good reason to support it.
Thank you, Matt. So should we just take these two? Amanda, is your hand still up, or I'll go for Berkshire anyway?
Yeah, I just wanted to conclude by saying that, you know, as a human being, as a Muslim, we strongly believe that it is our relationship with God. And each individual has got this relationship and his own view. And within each religion, you could have different beliefs, you know. So I don't see any problem with this. And secondly, you know, on the point of having multiple meanings, you know, Arabic, the language that is used for the Quran, you know, has got multiple meanings for the same word, not only two, it could have more than two meanings, you know. So thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We will move to a vote in just a moment, but just to sum up, we present this syllabus to SACRAs, but there's nothing, I don't think there's anything to prevent on any individual SACRA, individual faith representatives suggesting supplementary material for use in our schools, because in my experience, teachers are only too glad to receive help. And so, you know, if, for example, Dilip or Svi wanted to produce some supplementary material, which, like Paul says, we would need to view it at SACRA and we would need to approve it at SACRA. But I don't see anything against that as we go into this next 5-year period, really. So just thought I'd say that.
There's a formal review, there's a timetable for a review of the syllabus in any case, isn't there? Yeah. I should expect. Don't go down that rabbit hole.
Okay. So we need to vote this, we need to have 4 separate votes. If we were all in one room physically, we could all disappear into different corners and have a conflict, but we're not. So I think we probably need to do this all together, if you don't mind. So Group A is those of us from faith groups, Group B, Church of England, Group C, teacher representatives, and Group D, councillors.
Does it have to be unanimous, or within each group it's a majority?
No, it has to be a majority within each group, but each group needs to vote in favour for the syllabus to pass. Okay. So if we could just start those online, could you either use your hand up thing or just really clearly show if you are in agreement? Thank you. So there are 5 of us in Group A, that is Svi, Dilip, Robin, myself, and Berkshire. So if we can take a show of hands for Group A at this point, please. All those in favour of adopting the syllabus, please show with a hand. Those against? And that says no abstention. So it's 4 in 4 and 1 against. Thank you very much. Church of England, I think just 2 representatives here tonight. So if you're for the proposal, please show in the hand way. Thank you very much. So that is 2 from the Group B in favour. And then Group C is the teachers. So that is Mel and Amanda. I think, is that all? Amanda, so if you could just show with the hand, Amanda, thank you very much. So that's 2 for the syllabus from Group C and Group D. Clive said that he would abstain, so that leaves Tony, Paul, and Billy. Sorry, Billy. Could you show also by hand? Thank you so much. So that's 3 in favour, 1 abstention. Rose, sorry you don't get to vote, but thank you for being with us on this journey. Is there anything you want to say?
Thank you, that's fine. No, I would just sort of reiterate the points that are made and looking at it as a teacher, how useful it will be. And the one thing I feel is that it has been very, very carefully considered. Additions have been made, and it will enable teachers to teach confidently. And that's what we want. We want those conversations to start and continue throughout Key Stage 1 to Key Stage 4. The resources that have been included would enable me to do my research, but to actually teach our children to think and to explore and to consider. And as they move through the key stages, they will be able to have those discussions about worldviews and religions and those nuances. But I do think it's a very good scheme. And if I was still in the classroom, I'd feel confident at teaching those concepts. And as you say, the additional information, teachers can't get enough of it. So anything that can be sort of further added to support any of the religions would be welcomed. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you all. That's been possibly our best discussion we've had for quite some time, I think. So thank you all very much. Item 7, David.
Number 7, right. Okay, the updates. So, usual things. The newsletter went out. It was another big one. Once again, I would say to all Sacra members, if you have anything you would like putting in the newsletter, anything from you, sort of religion, worldview, communities, whatever, any event or anything you think you'd like schools to know, next one will go out for the second week of the next term. So that will probably be mid-January. So you would have hopefully all seen the newsletter. It would have had information about, it's usually got upcoming events. It would have information about networks, because we have networks coming up, information about sort of major events, upcoming events, as you can see at 7.4, like Interfaith Week, which is coming up on 10th to 17th of November. We know we've got Holocaust Memorial Day, 27th of January, Strictly RE, 25th of January. So there's quite a bit that we're leading up to. I also try to signpost and highlight free resources online because there's great stuff coming on. And I'm always grateful for people informing me of new stuff from faith communities. That's always really good to spread around. So the newsletter went out. Networks, the next network that I've got is on the 23rd of October. Amanda, I don't know whether you want to jump in and say when yours is. Hopefully it's not the 23rd.
No, mine's the 12th of November.
12th of November, fantastic. Great, thank you. So it's great. We're going to be able to get people together. And those are always an opportunity to hear from schools about what sort of things that they'd like, as well as us be able to roll out some national and local things. So, for example, there's been all sorts of things like the latest Ofsted subject review. There's been all sorts of things to feed back, and there's still quite a lot of things that we are waiting for to come out shortly. So when they do, I'll obviously bring that to Sacre as well. Action plan would have been circulated, is a combination of the statutory things we have to do, like meet like this, to make sure we are represented in each group, which I'm delighted to say that we are, and then we can meet together for robust debate like we have here, and we'll continue to do so, no doubt. Also then moving on to things that we would like to do with the remainder of our budget. One, of course, has been to put money into the Pan Berkshire hub, and there's a meeting for that tomorrow as well with some of the leaders of the hub. And one of the things, of course, that will now be discussed once the 6 have had their final decisions about the syllabus is what the national, what the launch event will look like. We're very keen for that to be a CPD training opportunity, because getting RE teachers out, as we know, is really difficult. Give them the chance to meet and talk together is just such a wonderful thing, to share resources and ideas, and we'll try to facilitate that. So yeah, basically that's all the updates thing. As I say, if there's anything you ever want to know about any of that stuff, please drop me an email. And if you have anything that you'd like circulated, whether it's at the network, then please let me know. And we're always looking to have religion and worldview representatives come and talk to teachers at the networks. We've done that in the past, and we'll look to do that again. Amanda, I don't know whether you'd like to say anything about your network, what likely to be in it, or have I dropped you on the spot there a bit?
No, that's fine. I mean, mainly, I've already been contacted by a few teachers about the new locally agreed syllabus, so that is going to be our main focus.
Right.
Talking about that really, and obviously talking about the Ofsted report from earlier this year. We did talk about it on our previous meeting, but I think it's always good to go over that again as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. And the interesting thing about the Ofsted report, for those of you who haven't read it, it basically says what the last 15 Ofsted reports have said about, you know, raising the status, having money into training, just making sure that it's got some discrete curriculum time, that people who are teaching it can have some training it themselves. So these are all things in the world of RE we know about, and where we're quite fortunate in our area is we do have networks, we do have an opportunity to get people together and try and help them with their teaching of their RE. And currently what I'm doing at the moment is also gathering information about new RE leaders, because this term there's always someone who's just found out they're the RE leader, and I've had quite a few emails from people there, and so hopefully they'll come along to networks too for both of us.
Mrs. Smith, I keep telling you.
There
Mrs.
it is,
Smith.
yeah, Mrs. Smith, she is out there.
She's there. Thank you very much, Tony.
Just a point arising out of something I did earlier today. For the first time I did, as deputising from Billy as the vice chair of this council, I met the Lord Lieutenant. And in discussion afterwards, because he's the King's representative, and it reminded me, looking at this portrait of the King and listening to Lord Lieutenant, who talked about the fact that the King, famously when he was Prince of Wales, said he is the defender, or he wants to be the defender of faiths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he would be delighted to be invited to this syllabus launch on 27th March. Billy knows him better than I do.
Yeah. I was going to say one of his representatives here is
Well, I'm a deputy. I don't know if he would feel comfortable. Sorry, I don't, you know, I bear these burdens. Well, there we are. See, I don't know whether he would feel comfortable, but
I didn't mention it to him, but then listening to the conversations we've had here.
well, if people want, you can ask him, or I can ask him.
Or you can delegate it.
Yeah, of course. 27th of March in Winners at 2:00, I think.
Crown Plaza, is it?
I'll mention that, but
Anyway, it's Winners. Somewhere at Winners, yeah.
I'll do that.
All right.
He loves
Thanks so
the
much.
words, by the way.
Okay, so item 8.
Oh, sorry, one thing, I think we did ask before, and I could have missed it, the newsletter, can we have that routinely sent to us whenever it comes out?
It should have come to you. If it hasn't, I apologise.
No, I don't
yeah,
want
no,
I want to read your words.
Absolutely, no, it should have gone out to you at the same time as it went to teachers. I'll check up on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8, do you want to say anything about that, Thomas?
Yes, Chair, thank you. Previously, in the last minutes, it was suggested that the next meeting was going to be the 11th of March. I'm not certain, Chair, if you'd like to take this item instead.
Yeah, because I've changed the date. So I always feel picking the meeting in that time of year, I'm kind of plucking a date out of the air. Is there any reason for having it earlier rather than later, or not sure there is really, but that was a Tuesday I came to, the 18th of February, having forgotten. Does anyone have any preference?
I don't understand the question.
What did we have before? Sorry, I
We moved it 3 weeks earlier, that's what you'll say.
Yes, that's right. So it was the 11th of March.
It was going to be the 11th of March. It's now proposed as being the 18th of February.
I think that there could be rhyming. There could be method in my madness, in the sense that the launch of the syllabus is the 25th of
27th.
March, 27th. So I thought that might be a little bit too close.
I'd just like to say it is a half term.
That's
so
not
for
a good
teachers it is a holiday.
All right.
The 18th of February.
Well, shall we stick with the 11th of March then? Is that more straightforward? That's already
I
been.
think the 11th works, yeah.
All right.
18th of February is Ash Wednesday.
Is it? Oh,
No, it's a Tuesday.
it's a Tuesday, yeah. All right, so should we stick with the 11th of March?
26th.
Yeah.
I'm glad I heard of yourself. I need to
Can I just check what time would that meeting?
So 4:30, it's in the laws of the
And it
meeting.
would normally, when would we normally finish by?
6 o'clock.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm chairing a parish council meeting.
Yeah, no, we.
But that's fine. I've got plenty of time.
Thank you. Yeah, 4:30 to 6 and earlier if we can. So with this summer one, the point of meeting at a place of worship is so that we can get to know the different faiths. Clearly, we don't have a synagogue or a Hindu temple in West Berkshire. But I just wonder whether an alternative to that is to meet here instead and to have either yourselves to or yourself to it, just introduce your faith to us instead, because it's probably not best that we go to Reading, but how would that be, do you think? Because it is good for us as a committee to get to understand more about all the different faiths. I wonder whether, Svi, you might do that in June, just to...
Which date were we talking about?
So 3rd of June.
3rd of June.
Because we've been to Berkshire, we've been to the mosque in Pound Street, we've been to my church before that. I don't think we've been to St Mary's.
I have an engagement on.
So you can't join us on Thursday. Julian, what about yourself? Do you think you'd be? I know you normally join online, don't you? But I'm wondering whether.
Well, I almost attended in person today. Divine intervention in the form of a nail. I don't know what happened there. But in terms of visiting churches, would people be prepared to travel a bit?
I don't know is the answer.
The reason I ask, sorry,
where are you thinking?
Well, there's one in sort of West London, which is, there's a really good, I organised one for some of the people from our Interfaith Forum here in Bracknell, that went down well. Because seeing some of the other stuff there is well worthwhile. But if you're willing to travel, then I can organise that. That'd be good. There's a smaller temple in Slough, for example, that we could go to as well. But I think the experience that we have in Neasden is probably well worth it.
What do you think, Billy?
Well, I was thinking, I mean, I don't mind traveling myself. It depends if there's ever, I mean, I'm going to another council meeting straight after this. That's only trouble. And also, could anybody go online? Well, I mean, I'm thinking David, he couldn't get there.
Yeah. I was just thinking that quite a lot of us might not be able to travel very far, but at least if you were able to bring something to us to help us understand the faith more, that would be something.
But that's another option. So we could look at that as well if you want.
Yeah, we can even do a slideshow.
Yes, David. If you wanted a presentation on Judaism, my wife can do one quite adequately.
Of course.
Even if I'm not here.
Yeah.
And although she's not a member of the Sacre, if anyone wanted a presentation on Judaism, that would be of interest. I'm sure she'd be prepared to come over to.
It would only be obviously brief because we have an agenda, but it would be, possibly just about 10-15 minutes really. So if she could manage that, I think that would
1 month.
I don't know what others feel, but I think that might be really worthwhile.
I think that'd be a good start.
Yeah.
It would do justice in 15 minutes is going to be a challenge.
I don't mind travelling. I'd much rather just go and experience.
Yes, I know. I'm here too, but
I can usually wangle doing that amongst other things.
Is it again? I don't want to make this more difficult than it is, guys. But we could do that a weekend if you want. If that makes it a little bit easier. We could share lifts and what have you. This is what we did in Bracknell. So, but I'll let you mull that over and come back to
be suggesting a camp next. Yes,
David, I think this far in advance, then I can sort my diary out so that I could travel, if needed. It's always about sort of knowing in enough notice so I don't book anything else around it. So
the summer meeting is generally when we do ask you to come and meet us in person, David.
Exactly, exactly. So I don't mind where it is.
Okay. Well, shall we just maybe not make a firm decision now, but think about it. And if you've got a good solution to that, let me know. And by the time of the next meeting, we can decide.
Sorry, what date were we looking at? Yeah, sorry.
3rd of June.
Tuesday, 3rd of June.
3rd of June.
Where is the nearest synagogue?
There is a synagogue in Reading, Goldsmith Road.
Yeah.
But if you were to contact Reading Hebrew Congregation, probably go for some of that.
Yeah. Okay, and then the other date I put in is 21st of October, which would be hybrid. Is that half term?
I've got another sacro that day, would you believe?
Oh, that won't work then.
Sorry.
I imagine the week after that is half term. Should we go back to the 14th? 14th of October instead?
I can't do that. It's the Jewish.
Sorry.
7th of October?
That's not going to work because it's Sukkot on the 7th till 14th.
Yes. And you'll be living in the garden.
I will be living in the garden and then limping it up.
Yes.
Stick to the 21st and I'll try and shift the other one.
Would you? That would be amazing.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
So we'll stick with the 21st for now.
So 21st of which month again?
October.
21st of October. Yeah.
Yep, got it.
Okay. I don't have anything to say under item 9 unless anyone else does.
No.
Is there any other business? Anyone? No. Okay. So this is where we exclude the press and public. Is that all right?
You
Oh, do I have to propose it? I propose we exclude the press and public at this point.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Billy. All those in favour? Thank you.
Please bear with me one moment, Chairman,
Okay.
while I close the meeting.
All right, thank you. Queuing in their cars.
It's just the people on Zoom now.